Welcome back, everybody, to BSG. We are the Benelux Speedrunner Gathering. We organize bi-monthly gatherings in the Benelux region for speedrunners. And due to the situation surrounding COVID-19, we are doing our events online for the time being. So, this event features streamers from both the Benelux and the rest of the world, bringing you entertainment during the lockdown. Now, I'm going to hand it over to huds601, who's going to be running Sonic Forever. Huds, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Nordic. And yes, welcome everyone to BSG Online 6 and to the Sonic 1 Forever run. My name is huds601. As said, I'm going to be running this for you today. First off, let me please introduce my commentator, RPG. Welcome along.
Hello.
Got to bring out the Colin voice. We also have our lovely little mascot up the top here. This is Ted. Say hello to Ted, everyone. He's been a very good loaf at the moment and sitting in his little bed so we can have some loaf cam during this run. I'm feeling pretty under the weather today, believe it or not, so I'm not going to be speaking much during this run, but before we get going, I just need to check Nordic. We did have an incentive for this run to upgrade it from Solo Sonic to Sonic and Tails. Can you just let me know how we got on with that one, please?
Absolutely, I'll just give it another refresh. And sadly, we didn't make that donation incentive.
No problem at all. Believe it or not, I'm kind of happy about that in some ways because Sonic and Tails is a much harder category because Tails is a pain in the backside. So we're going to be doing Solo Sonic. So without further ado, let's get this run underway. Solo Sonic in 3, 2, 1, go.
Right off the bat, you're going to be seeing a few differences between Sonic the Hedgehog Forever and perhaps the more traditional Sonic one that you may be used to. Sonic's got a spin dash, you've just seen an insta-shield, a drop dash, and it's also in this beautiful little 16:9 widescreen layout. That's because this is basically a fan remaster of the 2013 mobile ports made by Christian Whitehead and the Retro Engine. It comes with a whole bunch of different quality of life improvements such as Sonic's extra abilities. Huds mentioned Tails is basically hard mode if you're running the Sonic and Tails category. That's because you can use Tails to flight assist like you might see in Mania or in Sonic 3 Air, where you can control Tails and get him to sort of hover you around. And it's kind of more trouble than it's worth, honestly. He's a great big orange hindrance, but he does allow you to access a couple of different alternate speedrun routes, which can come in very, very handy. Another difference that you will have just picked up on as well. The shields are replaced with elemental shields. Picking up the electric shield in Green Hill 2 lets you skip pretty much the entire level and turn that horrible, horrible section of moving platforms and spikes into an absolute joke. Some of the things you can do, you can, in the options menu, toggle this back to be exactly like regular Sonic 1, toggle it back to be 4-3, toggle it back to have a speed cap in the air. If you're a true Giga Chad gamer, you can turn the spike bug on that if you land on spikes you will die. It is perfect. Green Hill 3 is a pretty standard level. Huds is going to pick up the speed shoes and just zip through as fast as he can. There is a really tight jump coming up with the intershield which he absolutely nails to avoid damage. And he's going to just go through a bunch of monsters here to grab an invincibility so that he can cheese Robotnik to death. This is one of the few places in the game where if Tails were here, God bless his soul, he would be a little bit quicker and easier to do the boss because Tails can just sort of hover you into Robotnik and you can just exist in his hitbox and wait until he dies. But just like that, that is Green Hill out of the way, ready for us to move into a much less fun zone, which is going to be Marble.
Yeah, one thing to mention is that in the most recent version that we're running, 1.4.0, they did change Tails' flight assist. I know we don't have Tails with us today. Again, I'm not overly broken about that because apart from the levels where he really helps, Tails is a massive pain in the backside, as I said earlier. But the flight assist is now far more responsive, and we're very grateful to Team Forever for listening to not just runner feedback, but general player feedback, and continuing to make improvements to this game.
Yeah, huge shout outs to Team Forever, they've really gone out of their way to engage with the speedrun community for the game and sort of work with speedrunners to sort of really enhance the experience. They've been an absolutely wonderful set of devs to sort of... I mean, I'm not really a particularly massive part of the Sonic Forever speedrun community, but it's been really nice for me, sort of as someone that's adjacent to the game, to sort of see the interactions between the devs and the speedrunners.
Yeah, recently awarded as well at the Sonic Hacking Contest 2021. I was very privileged to be invited along by the dev team to do a developer stream for the Sonic Hacking Contest. And yeah, they won, I believe they won a couple of awards there and were highly commended in several others. So, you know, congratulations to Team Forever on a fantastic, fantastic fan game.
What's really interesting, just to come back to Marble now that Huds has gone through it, is that all of these wonderful abilities that we saw in Green Hill, the drop dash, the spin dash, there is a peel out, although we're not going to be seeing Huds use it particularly often, if at all, in the run. They're absolutely incredibly helpful in Green Hill and really speed up the level because of the sheer amount of slopes and open terrain. And in Marble Zone, they're basically not really hugely useful because you've got to do so much platforming and tricky jumps and slowing in certain places, it doesn't really matter. However, the insta-shield would have been really useful there if Huds had landed in the lava. The iframes on it now last just long enough that if you activate the insta-shield right as you hit the ground, it will give you enough iframes to jump off the lava, and it is very, very satisfying to see done. A little bit more tricky platforming here. The insta-shield come in really handy if any of the fireballs are coming up as you come over them. And Huds is now going to drop down into the end of the level. The fire shields that replace the regular shields in this level are really useful and really serve to speed up some of the sections here. Not quite making it up on top of that crusher before it leaves, but it doesn't really slow down too much, just loses one cycle. And just with that, Flame Dash is all the way through to the end. Very respectable time there for 102.
Yeah, that chandelier jump, that first chandelier, is because it's triggered when it comes onto screen. It's a screen-based cycle. We'll talk about cycles in a bit more detail later, I'm sure. It's a very, very tight window to actually get that jump on top of that chandelier.
Yeah, very much so. To talk about cycles very, very briefly then, while we're just zipping our way through Marble 3, there are sort of two sort of cycles to be aware of with objects in lots of video games, but it's particularly pertinent in lots of Sonic games, where some things will be on a global cycle, which means that they start moving the minute the level loads. The platforms move on sort of the ground level with the grass on top and the purple blocks that go up and down. Those are on a global cycle. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but I'm pretty sure. Because where they are doesn't matter. Things like the chandeliers, those crusher blocks that drop down on the chains, their cycle starts when they come onto screen. They're camera cycled instead. And that's sort of the main difference between the two. Sometimes you can sort of delay when things appear on screen to be beneficial for you. Sometimes you might need to make sure you arrive at certain sections of the level at specific intervals. It can be a really, really interesting sort of puzzle to work out what's going to be the fastest way to manipulate the geometry in the stage and the objects best to your advantage. Not grabbing the fire shield as we make our way through to the boss, but the insta-shield does make this boss a little bit easier to squeeze in all of the hits as you go through. Fire shield here makes it a hilarious joke, but unfortunately there's no fire shield to pick up that I'm aware of on the optimal solo Sonic route. There is one on the Sonic and Tails route, and it also comes in right before Tails needs to carry you through a load of flamethrowers, which is really, really fun.
Interesting fact, because they removed the time over in this game, if you do get the fire shield on that boss, you cannot physically die.
You will literally be stuck there for all eternity should you choose to just decide not to hit him. Spring Yard Zone is a deceptively tricky level. Huds is going to do his best now to keep these speed shoes all the way through to the end of the stage. There are lots of slopes to build up momentum, and there are lots of obstacles in Spring Yard is the biggest problem. It is full of spikes, very, very nice insta-shield jump on that Badnik. Lots of spikes, lots of bumpers. It's really easy to completely screw your momentum up in this stage. Absolutely phenomenal Spring Yard one there.
If I did that in Time Attack, that would have been an IL record for myself.
Yep.
Like a personal record.
Spring Yard 2 follows very much the same vein as Spring Yard 1. You want to just keep momentum, stay off the bottom routes as much as you possibly can, and just try to make it to the end of the level as quickly as you possibly can.
Yeah, this level will actually be a good time, I think. Nordic, if you've got any messages or any donations you want to read, now's a great time, I reckon.
Right on. Nothing coming in on the donation front, but I do want to remind people that we are raising money for Mind. They are a mental health organization that helps to prevent mental health issues and support everybody who's dealing with those mental issues themselves. Did you know that in every region of the world, mental disorders surpass 10% of the population? And that governments seem to lack momentum in reducing the burden of mental health problems, as only 55% have mental health awareness, and only 8% have suicide prevention plans. So every euro that you donate goes towards this amazing cause.
Thank you very much. RPG, back to you.
I hope everyone in chat was excited as I was seeing Huds insta-shield through that spike ball onto that spring to keep with momentum through there. I was delighted. Spring Yard 3 is a little bit slower than Acts 1 and 2. We do need to be cautious there. People that are familiar with Sonic 1 may have wondered why HUDs didn't try and sort of squeeze under that block as it raised. But if you try that in Sonic 1 Forever, you will die. And this is traditionally not the best. That jump off that slope there, again, notorious for being extremely difficult in Sonic 1. Having a spin dash makes it substantially easier. And now it's just really important that we keep on the top route so that we don't fall down into the ridiculously slow section near the bottom. I'm going to snip into the hidey hole now, grab a speed shoes, grab an invincibility, and use that to make our way to the boss as fast as possible, ignoring all of these spike balls across the bottom, and then we're just going to make our way over the ridiculous pit of doom at the very, very end of the level.
Ooh, that's in a bad state.
Ooh, but good recovery though.
Was not expecting them to be apart. Normally they're together when I meet them. Thankfully, due to changes in the insta-shield in this version, that's that boss. You can now hit him quite easily, which is nice. Thanks, Team Pro.
Very, yeah, and it's nice that means that you don't have to do any sort of stressful waiting for him to move blocks and maybe falling in a pit and dying. Following on from Spring Yard, we're going to go into, I'm going to say it, my personal favourite zone in all of Sonic 1. It's got really, really nice chill music, and it's just fun, and I like it.
I believe the kids refer to it as POG.
I do believe the kids these days would call this zone quite POG, if they shared my viewpoint, which I'm fairly sure I'm somewhat in the minority on that one. Labyrinth is a really, really interesting zone in Forever, because, again, the spin dash and the drop dash and the peel out don't really make all that much difference, but things like the bubble shield absolutely certainly do. There is a really, really cool skip we can do with the bubble shield here by getting momentum by bouncing off an enemy to shoot ourselves up out of the water and not even need to drop down into the water to activate the button that activates the secret platform. That's the word I'm looking for. And that puts us just on the top route, right to the end of the level. Going to bounce up with the bubble shield to save a little bit of time. We'll be seeing a little bit more of that in the near future. And there is, I believe, the solitary peel out in the whole run.
Pretty much the only time I use peel out, yeah.
Shout out to the peel out. I very much love Sonic CD. I very much like when people put the peel out in other games, even if they're not really that useful. Labyrinth 2 is a little bit trickier than Labyrinth 1, as there's no sort of route we can use to skip over the top of it. And there is a particular section coming up where we need to be very cautious. And this is due to the way that objects in the game sort of stay loaded while you're in proximity to them. That Orbanaut that we passed up the top of the screen a little bit ago, it fires its projectiles. And it just so happens that you stay just in range of them as you move to the right through the level, that it stays loaded with you. And if you jump onto that spring in that room with all the platforms too quickly, sometimes you get absolutely clarted by it, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it is very possible that you do not pick up any rings at all on the stage up to that point, which is very, very unfortunate. The end of the level, we can't do the glitch in the wall. I can't believe I'm saying this. Sonic 1 Forever is a Sonic game that does not contain any glitches currently. There is scope for them to be found or, I don't know, added in accidentally maybe by development, but there are no known glitches. We can't get ourselves into the wall and yeet ourselves all the way to the very end. So we have to go through that little labyrinth, if I may use the term, section of level at the very end there where we're underwater. Some of you may have noticed, actually, there is an Orbanaut that has been removed, and that is because Team Forever have actually taken out some badniks that are in absolutely atrocious spots. So there's an underwater Orbanaut that's removed there. There is a Orbanaut in Starlight 3, I think it's 3, that's removed, where it's
by the boss.
It's in the middle of a corridor, yeah, and the only things in front of it are exploding spike balls, and so they're gone. Hud's going to pick up the bubble shield here, and he's going to do, air quotes, bubbleless for Labyrinth 3, where he's not going to stop to breathe any of the way through. This is a really, really hard strat to do in Sonic 1. It is just as difficult to do in Forever, but the bubble shield makes it a little bit easier. A tiny bit easier, not much. The level itself is relatively straightforward. He's almost reached the boss now. He's going to use the bubble shield to climb up. And he's going to begin the ascent. Right when he gets to the ascent, I am going to push my gob a little bit and give him some quiet time, because this boss can be quite tricky, especially with the way that HUDs is going to be tackling it. But get to see a little bit more beautiful bubble shield bouncing here now, all the way up these steps. And at the very top of the steps, we're going to change tact, nip off to the left, and grab the lightning shield instead. And HUDs is going to use this to ascend.
Oh, dang it. Okay, it's fine.
Ooh.
There we go. We're safe.
I inhaled sharply there at the very end.
Cool. Yeah, so what we tried to do is use the lightning shield to get up through the gaps. There's 4 jumps to make. With Sonic, you can just stay ahead of Robotnik, but that third one, you need to land on basically the last pixel of that block and get the jump off before you get Robotnik's hitbox. It's very tricky, and if you do hit it just like then, you basically lose your shield. But yeah, we still made it up safely, so that's what's important.
Yeah, now we come to a nice chill level. Starlight 1 is very, very straightforward. We're going to spin dash and roll all the way through it. Nordic, if you have any messages, now would be a really good time.
All right. Well, first off, I'd like to say this is my favorite music from Sonic 1. Absolutely love this track. But yeah, I want to remind everybody that not the next run, but the run afterwards is Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. And we have an incentive to use the Metal Gear Solid 3 Tuxedo. So if you like a sharp-dressed man with a gun, you might want to get that 75 euros in between now and then.
Heck yeah.
Very much thinking about ZZ Top now. I love Sharp Dressed Man. Huds is going to roll through these loops and launch himself up onto the top route here. There's a very cool strat he's about to do once he streaks under these orbinauts. He's going to build up a bit of speed, doing jumps here, and jump up onto the ceiling, and use the drop dash to just continually jump over ceilings to skip the rest of the level and fall straight into the end. Love that strat.
I love Starlight too. It's such a non-level.
it's a really nice, just free breather level towards the end of the run.
So Starlight 3 is one where if we had Tails would be quite useful. I'll let RPG explain why.
Yeah, so the way this level works is you sort of descend down and then you wind back around onto these platforms. If you roll straight up out of that, you can skip another section as well. But if you've got Tails Assist, you can fly directly to this seesaw. So that would save a good maybe 5-6 seconds.
Oh yeah, at least.
Fuzz is going to get himself above the ceiling now, so he can skip another section and cheese his way down onto a lightning shield, which he's going to use in a minute to skip basically the rest of the level as well. And this is going to come in absolutely clutch, beautiful jump to speed up the boss as well. This boss is deceptively tricky to do fast in a speedrun. Having the lightning shield though, well, it doesn't matter what he does anymore, does it? We can just make sure that we double jump up and keep hitting him. And the only thing we need to do is be aware of the way that his bombs work so that we don't accidentally jump into him as he spawns them. So, to give a really quick explanation before we launch into Scrapbane of how they work, when he passes over a seesaw, if you're not on it and there's no bomb on it, he'll drop a bomb. And that's pretty much how it works. So once you know where he's going to drop them, it's relatively straightforward to, as long as you pay attention to not get hit. Scrapbane 1 is the last point of the run, I believe, where Tails could be useful, where we could use him to fly up directly here to skip having to go around and up these platforms. But apart from that, he would just be a complete nuisance. Grabbing the lightning shield here makes it very, very easy to just do this quick bit of platforming to get onto the top route. And then once we get to the top route, we're actually going to detour back down to the middle of the level, as this lets us really quickly skip through the majority of the stage, where we'd have to do quite a bit of slow platforming with some moving pistons that sort of on a cycle that we'd have to wait for otherwise. This does mean, though, that we have to go over the dreaded sort of instant death bit, but fortunately, I believe those flamethrowers are camera cycled, and if you just spin dash through, they're never going to be there. And that puts us on right at the end of the stage, and we've got one of my favourite levels coming up with Scrapbrain 2. I really like Scrapbrain 2.
Yeah, it's one of my favourites as well. Scrapbrain 2 can either go really, really smoothly and you make every cycle and it feels amazing, or it goes really, really badly and you're just glad for it to be over. So let's see what we get this time.
Indeed, there are a lot of obstacles to be aware of. The first thing we need to do is climb up this big, tall vertical room using these wheels to get onto the top route, because all the other route is very slow. We then need to be a little bit careful because there's a huge spike ball rotating around in this room that we want to avoid. And then we're going to throw ourselves into a corridor full of obstacles that we're probably going to get hit in. It's pretty standard that there are 2 corridors here in this level, and we damage boost through both of them. Sneaking under those 2 crushers, if you spin dash right as the right one goes up, it's normally not a problem. Beautiful monitor bounce to skip waiting for platforms. Another damage boost, because there's not really a lot you can do about it here, and that puts us pretty much on a trajectory to the end. There are lots of obstacles in here. We've got a lot of spike balls coming up in this end section. There's really not a lot you can do about them other than just run into them and hope for the best and spin dash through.
Ouch to the MVP Crusher Carlos that got all of us during another marathon run of Sonic v Tails v Knuckles race.
Truly the real MVP. So this cutscene here, very interestingly, in older versions of Sonic Forever, if you spin dashed too quickly from the end of the level, you would crash into Robotnik and there would be no floor and you would die, and that was bad, so they patched it out.
I wonder who found that RPG.
I don't know. I can't quite remember the name of the guy, but I can't imagine he was all that competent at the game. Labyrinth 4 is a really interesting level because if you do what Huds did there, which is get ahead of that wedge at the beginning of the level, it's really, really short. You basically just put on a straight shot to the end and all you have to do is climb up that ascent with those 2 blocks. Final Zone is sort of interesting here because traditionally in Sonic 1, you would manipulate this to have a consistent pattern. That does not work in Forever, it is truly random. So it really comes down to quick reflexes on each platform cycle to make sure that you can pick up each hit as it goes. The only really dangerous piston cycle, is the middle ones, 2 and 3, where if you don't react quickly enough, you will get squashed. Every piston cycle you miss is around about 8 seconds, so you want to miss ideally none of them. But it can really stack up very quickly if you do start missing them. Fortunately, the spin dash does make these weird purple lightning orb things very, very easy to avoid. So it just comes down to having really quick reflexes to make sure you can pick the hits up. I believe that was 6 hits so far, so just 2 to go.
Yeah.
I think so, looking at the time. Absolutely beautiful final zone so far. 1 last set of lightning orbs to dodge, 1 last set of pistons, nice easy set of pistons, and that is pretty much GG.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't kill yourself here either. You used to be able to spin dash off the edge and kill yourself here too.
Time coming up. Time
who found
in
that out, Huds?
3, 2... time. I wonder who did find out that you could yeet yourself off the end after you basically destroyed everything.
Yeah, I wonder who it was that found out you can still do that after the devs said they patched it as well.
I have a habit of finding ways around things.
Be embarrassing, wouldn't it, if it was the world record holder of the category that did that?
Oh, I love it. Do we have the final time on that one at all, Nordic?
Yeah, I'm seeing a 2012.
Oh, nice. I'm really happy with that, actually. And so I was practicing this a couple of days ago. Just to put it in perspective, I got a really good run a couple of days ago. If I hadn't have got that run, that would have just been world record. But it's just shy, I think 19 seconds shy of current world record. So yeah, I'm really happy with that run. That went brilliantly, I think. So yeah. RPG, anything you'd like to say at all?
Thank you very much for having me. I really enjoy doing the comms for that. Massive shout outs to Huds for having me, to BSG for putting this awesome marathon on, and to the Sonic speedrunning community as a whole for being just full of awesome people.
And I'd like to shout out, firstly, Team Forever. Thank you so much to everyone there. Elspeth Lead Dev for making such a wonderful game. Everyone who knows me knows my hatred for Sonic 1, but I absolutely love Sonic 1 Forever. The quality of life changes. It just makes it so much better to play and to run. If you're interested in playing this, follow them on Twitter at S1Forever. You can go and download the game. The links are all on their Twitter profile. You can download it for free. You just need to have the mobile version of this game because it is based on the 2013 mobile version. Shout out to the whole Sonic speedrun community as well. Wonderful little community. If you're interested in running any Sonic game, come and join the Sonic speedrun community. There's thousands of us there, and certainly hundreds of runners who are more than willing to help you get up and running with a Sonic game, just like myself and RPG do. And huge shout outs to BSG as well for having me back once again. Always wonderful coming to run for you guys. Shout outs to everyone, all the hosts, all the runners, all the commentators, and especially all the tech and scheduling crew behind the scenes. You don't see them, but they do a great job. A really, really tough one as well. I will be back very, very soon because I'm actually going to be hosting for the last 2 runs of this marathon. So, yeah, you're going to hear some more of my awful voice at the moment because I'm a little bit under the weather. But, yeah, Nordic, I'm going to hand it back to you, and I'm going to give chat a little bit more loaf cam before we switch over.
Right on. Well, you took a lot of the words right out of my mouth, but I do have one thing that I'd like to get in before we turn it over, and that's that we got a $5 donation from our very own, the DM Panda. Says, sorry I couldn't be there helping out this weekend. I hope you all have had a blast. You all do amazing work raising money for a great cause. Shoutouts to tech, the organizers, scheduling team, trust team, social media team, You're all awesome. Well, I think you're awesome, DM Panda. Thank you so much for your generosity. And yeah, we are going to hop on out to a intermission and then to an interview. Our very own Zonorous is going to be interviewing Apache Smash. So hang in there. We're going to have this awesome interview, and then we are going to do some Metal Gear Solid. So that is it for me. Y'all have a great night. Thank you so much for having me, and I will see you at the next event. Cheers.